Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the channel. We're getting ready for another scrap run to Melbourne. Okay Coco, we don't have time for a nap. Come on. The van's emptied. I just had to deliver actually I had a mattress in here that I gave away. That's why the blankets were there. I've got these great big cast iron weights from home. We were cleaning up some room to make room for our shed extension. I think they're from a electric heater, some sort of heat bank, but they're very heavy cast iron, so they'll be going in this load. What we have to take in this load is the last of the heavy melt steel. I've emptied the final drums. There's a big pile of really heavy cast iron bits, really old brake drums and some heads off engines and all sorts of stuff. All these little drums are full. We won't quite have our maximum load. I've been getting about 12 to 1300 kilos of heavy melt steel. We're going to probably have just over a ton. And I've started packing up these electric motors out of these last few drums. Just about there. I'm finding stuff that I wouldn't sell just as electric motors. These yokes out of CRT TVs and monitors are really easy to get the copper off, so I'm not going to send them down as electric motors. But back when I was packing these drums, I didn't know any different, and I just used to throw everything that was essentially copper bearing in here. So there's transformers, electric motors, and I have no idea how I managed to get that big heavy cast iron motor into this drum. I would have lifted it in, but that was, a few decades ago, probably. Well, maybe this probably was one of the first drums, so almost 20 years ago, and I was a little stronger than I am now, and the back wasn't quite as tired. Coco's got the zoomies. She's been home all day and I've just brought her back to the shop. Oh, and now don't get that dirty, that's a packing blanket. Now, where was I? I've just been sorting out these electric motors and transformers. Some of them had quite a lot of wire on them too, which I'm clipping off because that pays a lot better, of course. Now, I'm separating all the electric motors. There's some starter motors, there's motors out of microwaves and motors out of washing machines, all electric motors, but I'm separating them from transformers. I'm not sure if the scrapyard actually wants them separate, but I've always sent them down separately. So that's what I've been sorting out here today. I probably won't take this stuff with this next load. I think I'll continue to unpack these drums. It might take a while for me to get back to it because the weather is supposed to really deteriorate this week. So what will we take? Well, we've run out of brass. I reckon we might take some copper. Or I might ring the scrapyard and check on the gunmetal and see if they'll pay a separate amount for that. I'll let you know. And here's a bit of footage of loading the drums. I was ably assisted by Coco the escort, just making sure that the wheels went round on the trolley on each and every trip. She was funny. She followed every drum up. She jumped in the van for a start, but by the end of it, she just followed the trolley back and forward. So I think I did a bit over 30 trolleys of trips with the trolley, and this I think was the 30th or so, and she's still with me. So she enjoys herself, and it's good to have her in the yard with me. It's a bit of company, even though she gets in the road sometimes. So that's all the drums in, and I calculate about 950 kilos for all those. Now this stack of cast iron blocks actually weighs 80 kilos on its own, so that small amount there represents $40 at the moment for 500 a ton. So that's pretty good. So that takes us for up to 1,030 kilos. We're actually going to be pretty well maxed out again, actually, because there's a fair bit of weight in this pile. So I'll just load all this up and we'll just do some quick calculations, make sure we're not overloaded, and then we'll round up some copper, probably in the morning. It's not far off dark here now. It's been a beautiful day, but it's cold, and tomorrow it's supposed to be raining by the time we wake up. It's the next day. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the Monday. I'm planning to go down to Melbourne tomorrow, even though the weather's going to be pretty shocking. The van is full, and I ended up with pretty well exactly 1,300 kilos. There was a lot of weight in this cast iron stuff at the end here. I think about 270 kilos. So it puts us, I think, about a couple of kilos over 1,300. So a nice paying load for the last lot of heavy melt steel. Although I'm bound to find a few more bits as I'm going through the yard, but that basically finishes all the drums and all the pile along the back fence. So I have to go in the morning. I'm going to load the gunmetal. I did ring the scrapyard, and the guy I spoke to said, I've got one drum in here so far, and I'll give you a look at it while I'm talking. He said, $8 a kilo. And I said, that's what I've been getting for brass. And I said, gunmetal's got more copper in it. There we go, that lid was tight. So yeah, I've explained numerous times that gunmetal is a higher percentage of copper. It's a real pinkish look to it. I don't expect to get copper price, but I thought I'd do better than my brass price. So I quizzed him a little bit, but he was in the car and he said, look, I'll have to ring you back. So I told him I've got about 150 kilos of it. I'm going to load it up anyway. He hasn't rung me back yet. They're probably closed for business now, and I do need to get packed up today. So I'm just going to load it up. There's 17 kilos in this bucket, and I've got milk crates full and a few other buckets. 155 kilos all up. I'm going to take it down anyway, and even if they just give me brass price, look, I'm just going to have to take that. It's going to put us not quite at 2,000 for the load, but I need to get rid of it. It makes the load viable. And to be honest, if I got $8 instead of $9, that's only 150 bucks short. So look, I think I can talk them up a bit. We'll see how we go. Okay, good morning guys. We're just hitting the road. I've just called into the shop to pick up a couple of things. I spoke to the scrapyard. I rang them again this morning, and it appears that they can only pay brass price for gunmetal, so $8 a kilo. They just said they throw it all in the one bin so they don't separate. I always thought gunmetal, or red brass as I think you call it in the US, was quite a bit better. But anyway, $8 a kilo. It certainly wasn't that when I started saving it, so I've got to be happy with that. So this essentially cleans up the last of my brass family. I still have copper to go, and I still have, I think there's a little bit of dirty brass there. I have quite a lot of various aluminium grades, and also some copper alley radiators, more electric motors, more transformers. But this is the last of the heavy steel as well. So, alright, we're heading off to Melbourne. The day looks good. It's chilly. I think it's about 7 degrees this morning. It's been raining overnight. It looks like it's going to be a nice day, but the forecast says different. They are talking high winds, thunderstorms, hail, snow down to low levels, a very gusty wind change about lunchtime. So it's going to be an interesting day driving the van, particularly when it's empty. The wind blows it around a lot, so it could be pretty wet as well. We do have to make a detour coming home. I've bought a sliding door for my shed extension on eBay, and it's a little bit out of my road, but we have to leave Melbourne on a different highway and pick it up from another town, which we'll do on the way home. So thanks for watching, coming along guys. We will see you at the scrapyard. Down in Melbourne now, and the traffic's not too bad. We got away a bit earlier this morning, but the weather has certainly started to turn. It's getting a little bit gusty. There's some heavier clouds looming. So it'll be interesting to see how the day turns out. The van's going well. We did fill up with fuel, which added another 70 kilos to the load, but it's still going well. So we're not far from the scrapyard. We'll see you there. Okay, the yard's as busy as usual. I've just got to wait here until I get a bit of a signal as to where to park and unload. The weather's looking more and more threatening. I'm hoping the showers hold off until we get unloaded. Although someone told me once that it's good to take a load into the yard when it's raining because it weighs more. That may be so. I think I'd rather be comfortable and not wet for the rest of the day. Looking at the windscreen, there's a few spots starting to fall, so I hope we hurry up. Okay, all unloaded. I've got my gunmetal in here, which apparently is going as brass. And you know, I don't know why I'm so fussy in getting it clean. When they bring me a bin and it's got a handful of steel bolts in the corner, and the mechanic that just worked on a forklift that broke down lobbed this can of brake cleaner in here. So anyway, at least I can sleep at nights knowing that I'm sending a clean sample, even if it's a bit contaminated when it gets here. The steel's all loaded. There's a lot of heavy stuff in there. So I think that should be about 1,300 kilos. It's bloody freezing here. It's below 10 degrees. The wind's getting up and the showers are coming. The radar shows some big showers coming soon. At least I've got unloaded. Hopefully they'll take the bins away shortly. All done. It's just starting to rain, so we've just beaten the rain. We had 1327 kilos of heavy steel, so a little bit more than I thought. That was a lot of heavy, really solid cast iron pieces in there. Still paying 500 a tonne. And our gunmetal went as clean brass, which I explained it would, and even the forklift driver said they all just put it into one now. It hasn't been separated here for quite a while. I don't know if other yards do it, but I didn't have time to ring around. So we had 156, which is around about what I thought, $8 a kilo. So just under $2,000 for this load, but I'm pretty happy with that, and it finishes off all the heavy steel, which I'm very pleased with. Next thing to do is to replenish my caffeine supplies, and we'll look up the maps to see how we got to get out to this town. I think it's near Gisborne, if anyone knows Victoria. We're going to be driving through some pretty average weather, and we'll go and pick this door up. I made it up into the hills. It's still rather showery, but the wind hasn't hit yet. I've picked up this door. I'm pretty happy with it. It was advertised on eBay. There wasn't a lot of photos, but it looks like it'll be ideal for my shed. It even has a security door with it. The guy was nice enough to leave it out. He's at work, presumably. I've just left him a note and $100 in an envelope. So I'll leave that in a pre-arranged secret place. And I better hit the road and get home before the weather gets any worse. Okay guys, I made it home alright. It's still freezing. It's almost dark now. We've had some showers. We missed any hail, and the wind was pretty gusty on the road coming home. And the van being empty gets blown around a lot. And you know, if you've ever carried a large piece of corrugated iron across an open plain on a windy day, you'll get the idea. If you haven't, you haven't lived. Okay, I'm home. I've got a heap of milk crates that I've been putting inside every time they're dry, and they're not dry now. Starting to pack up in here. So the next episode of the great cleanup will be inside again, because the weather's supposed to be pretty horrid for the rest of the week. Our trip was successful. We picked up the door, as you saw. Let's have a look at the figures. I've updated the notepad, and we've reached a bit of a milestone. We've just ticked over $20,000 worth of scrap taken from my yard. I may have mentioned that I always thought there was about that, and there's still more to go. But then again, when I always thought there was about that, I've added since then, and of course the price has gone up. So looking good. We're at almost 14.5 tonne. So we're planning to do another load next Tuesday. What will it be? I reckon we'll take some pressing steel. I think we'll probably try and get a tonne of it. It will move a fair bit of that line up down the back lane. It's only $350 a tonne, and there is a levy charge because they accept a bit of waste with it. But it's a good chance to get a bit of a load of that away, and we'll top it up with some copper, because I have quite a lot of bits of copper pipe. And there's a couple of cylinders and a few larger things. So I think that'll be our load next week. And after that, we might have enough electric motors and transformers. And I've also got a few more wheelie bins full of insulated wire. So that's the plan at this stage. But next week, I'll start loading later this week whenever the weather finds up a little bit. And I'll start filming that for you as well. So thanks for coming along again, guys. The next video will be a cleanup one, and most likely inside. So I'll catch you then. Bye for now.